In this presentation, I present the first milestone for my educational technology project for the development track. This is a task authoring tool for computer-based testing. I'm developing a tool that captures the modeling of learning objectives used for instructional design. Learning objectives are described as tasks, something that a learner can do at the completion of training. Today, I provide a low-fidelity prototype detailing the basic functions of the task modeling tool to demonstrate the user interface and general workflow utilized for inputting tasks in a hierarchical manner. By means of a brief introduction, these are the main concepts of the task modeling tool, and I want to provide what motivated the development of this. The task authoring tool is intended for instructional systems design, ISD. A component of ISD is task analysis. Task analysis is a critical component of modeling learning objectives. It is a way of expressing what a learner should be able to do after they have received instruction. The project centers around modeling tasks hierarchically in an iterative manner. The tool allows a three-level hierarchy: phases, tasks, and subtasks. During a modeling session, a subject matter expert, SME, or instructional designer will first outline the top-level tasks or phases of learning. If the goal was learning to fly an airplane, the top level might be the major components of performing that job. For example, pre-flight, taxi, takeoff, climb, cruise, descent, approach, landing, taxi-in, and post-flight. Phases completely contain the course of learning or the subject to be trained. The phase of takeoff can be expanded into smaller tasks that should be learned. Tasks are the next level of the hierarchy. Let's zoom in on the phase of takeoff. There are three tasks that a pilot must know to be fully trained in the takeoff phase. One is accomplishing a normal takeoff. Second is accomplishing a takeoff with an escalated threat, that is, a takeoff that has an abnormal event associated with it. Finally, performing an aborted takeoff. In the lowest level of the hierarchy, we define subtasks, which are the more granular tasks that represent the smallest unit of skills or knowledge that are needed to perform the parent task, that is, the takeoff. Continuing with the same example, we see that accomplishing a takeoff has two subtasks: performing the takeoff, and then accomplishing the after takeoff checklist. For the task accomplish takeoff with escalated threat, we see that there are two abnormal tasks that must be known. Performing the takeoff with an escalated threat, that could be something like doing a takeoff when there's a thunderstorm or a contaminated runway, or performing a takeoff when an engine failure occurs. When there are no further subtasks for a task, then the subtask may be named the same as its parent. In the example of the aborted takeoff task, there is only one subtask of the same name: perform aborted takeoff. Next, we will have a demonstration of the task modeling tool and how it can be used to input tasks or learning objectives. Now we will demonstrate the way that the tool can be used to input tasks. Using our example before, we'll build a task hierarchy for training someone to fly an airplane. We'll start first by adding phases. To add a new phase, someone clicks the phase button and can enter the phase. The phases can be reordered later. Right now we're just going to demonstrate adding a few and then building a hierarchy with tasks and subtasks. Now with our phases built, we can add tasks and then subtasks. We'll choose the takeoff phase, since that's what we used earlier in our example. We'll add accomplish takeoff, accomplish takeoff with escalated threat, and perform aborted takeoff. Now that we've added all 3 tasks for the phase, we can add subtasks. So for accomplished takeoff, we had the subtasks of performing a takeoff and performing the after takeoff checklist. Now we'll go to accomplish takeoff with escalated threat. We had 2 subtasks for that. Perform takeoff with escalated threat. And perform takeoff with engine failure. For perform aborted takeoff, we only had 1 subtask, which was perform aborted takeoff. So now we have all of the phases added. We've added tasks for the takeoff phase, and within the 3 tasks for the takeoff phase, we've also added some subtasks. In future versions, this will be editable, and you'll be able to reorder the phases. So if you want to change it later, you can. The idea is that when you're modeling learning objectives, you might model a few during one session, then come back, add some more later, edit them, etc.